This is Freedom Investor Radio, and I'm John Pearl. It hit me like a freight train when I realized there was a better way. When I discovered that I could take my future into my own hands. When I realized I could invest my way to freedom. This is what I'm working towards. In each episode of Freedom Investor Radio, we will explore the tactics and strategies used by the top real estate investors and entrepreneurs in the nation. We will learn how you can start investing your way to freedom and take control of your life. Thanks so much for tuning in. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Freedom Investor Radio. I'm your host, John Pearl, and today I am joined by Dr. Jeff Anzalone, who is the founder of Debt Free Doctor. Dr. Jeff Anzalone, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing now, and how you got there?
Okay, I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. I am a periodontist by trade, and a couple of weeks before I finished training, the group that I was supposed to be joining here in my hometown, they pulled the job out from under me, the job offer. And that really started me down the road to having a really bad scarcity mindset. And we had a 2-month-old, $300,000 in student loan debt. We had already bought a home interest only but the worst part for people that are professionals, whether you're a physician, dentist, attorney, anybody like that, you know that you go to school, you learn how to do that, but you don't learn how to run a business. So that was my biggest fear. How am I going to do this? And luckily I partnered with the guy that let me rent space from him. He just said, look, you can use my staff, you can use my equipment. You don't have to take out any more loans, which was nice. And he helped show me the rope. So after about 2 years of doing that, building my practice, I was still doing what I was doing in high school and college. I was mowing yards on the side. So I was the most well-educated yard guy in the country, probably at that time. But bought my current building that I'm in now and started my own practice. Now, during that time, the only financial advice that I really knew about mainly was from Dave Ramsey. So I followed his 7 baby steps. We took us about 7.5 years or so to get out of debt, pay off student loans. We actually paid off that first house. And what was kind of weird about it was, I had a whiteboard like the one behind me. I had all my debts, smallest to largest. I'm paying them off. I'm marking them through, and you spend all this time doing it, and then you get to the end of the road. It was like, okay, now what? It's almost like I thought I would be a lot more excited, but I'm really thankful for him providing that information to get me there. And I think where Dave is mainly lacking is, he gets people to that point, but then it's kind of like, how do you want to build wealth? And I guess maybe the majority of the country is so much in debt that he has enough people to deal with. I don't know. But anyway, it actually took a snow skiing trip to start leading me down this direction towards real estate. I was on a lift. I got off with my wife. We started skiing. A kid cut in front of me. I fell, and instinctively when you fall with, you put your hands down. It bit my wrist back. And luckily it wasn't like a major injury or anything, but I started thinking to myself, what would happen if I couldn't use my hands and, practice dentistry? Because it's kind of hard to pull teeth with your feet. And so it's kind of like, what do? You never think about getting hurt or getting sick until you're hurt or you're sick, right? So that was a wake-up call for me, and that kind of set the wheels in motion to start looking for other things to do. Eventually it led me to real estate. I was thinking that only active real estate was the only way, to invest. Luckily, I went to a meeting. They were talking about all different types of real estate investing, including passive, different ways to passively invest. That led me to syndications, and that has led me to what I'm currently doing now.
That's great. So you started off, you had a lot of student loan debt, probably similar to a lot of people in your shoes. And, from what I hear, a lot of people don't ever pay off that debt. So you got some Dave Ramsey in your life, and that's similar to my story. Some of the practices I picked up while I was paying student loan debt off kind of led me into the good money habits. And then, yeah, like you said, you learn how to get out of debt, but then you don't really know what to do after you get out of debt. And for me, that was, Robert Kiyosaki helped me get into that. And, I know you're a cash flow quadrant guy. So how does the cash flow quadrant play into what you're doing now, and how that knowledge that you have picked up?
Yeah, I know everybody talks about reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that they usually stumble upon it, change their life, get them thinking differently. To me, really, that follow-up book, the Cash Flow Quadrant, was really the wake-up call, because it really showed me how kind of messed up I thought about money. Because I was thinking, when I was working with that other guy as an employee in the employee quadrant, that, hey, if all I could do is buy my own building, start my own practice, I'd have it made. I'd go from the employee to the self-employed quadrant. Nobody could tell me what to do. I would write the checks. I could hire, fire. I was my own boss. And then I read that book, and it was just like, hey, I'm nothing more than a glorified employee, because, I'm thinking that I own the job, but the job owns me, and if I'm not here treating patients, I'm not getting paid. And that was the wake-up call. And, he said 95% of the people are on that left, or what he calls the poor side, the employee or self-employed. And I think it's, not only doctors, I think pretty much everybody, they're always thinking about ways to make money, how to make, or they're really thinking about their income. Like, if, you see coaches, a coach will make 2 million a year, and he'll go take a job for 3.5 million a year, or a player or somebody will take a job paying them more money. Maybe it involves more time. Maybe it involves more shifts, working different days, weekends, whatever. It's always about focus on how much you make: 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. So we're always focused on that. But what he talks about, it's more important to focus on how you make your money, not how much you make. And again, it's a mindset shift. And once you realize that, and it really made me think about a friend of mine here in my hometown, that his dad, he bought the gym, athletic facility and all that from his dad. Well, he can take off months at a time, and the facility still, the gym's still functional. He's got managers and all these people in place. He has a system in place to make money. I don't have that, and most people don't have that. And so it just depends on, not everybody's built like that. I've got, my brother is, happy to be an employee. I'm the other way around. I want to be my own boss. Now I'm getting to the point where, I want to focus on replacing my active income with passive income streams, not to buy more stuff. To me, money is a tool for time freedom. It just allows me to because, think about it. Once you get your basic needs met, if you can go in a grocery store and you can, whatever you need, you can just go buy. To me, that's, you're really blessed to, to be able to do that, because you can meet your basic needs, food, clothing, shelter. And, once you meet those basic needs, if you go from having to walk everywhere to having that first car, maybe it's a $5,000 car. How excited you are. But when you go from the $5,000 car to a 40, you may be a little bit more excited, but not from, so again, once you kind of get those basic needs met, transportation as well, that to me is kind of what I'm shooting for. Again, it's just more time freedom.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff there. And for anybody who's not familiar with the cash flow quadrant, the basic concept is you've got 4 quadrants. On the left side, you've got the employees and the self-employed. And on the right side, you've got the business owners and the investors. And long story short, you want to be on the right side as a business owner or investor to take advantage of taxes. Yeah, there we go. For anybody who's watching this, Dr. Anzalone's going to draw a quick display of what we're talking about here. Yeah, so yeah, you want to be on that right side as the business owner and the investor. There you go. Left side poor, right side rich. So yeah, I was actually having a conversation with a friend. She recently graduated as a doctor, and she was working at a healthcare facility, but she wasn't enjoying the situation there. So she branched out on her own, and she was thinking, as you were just saying, she was going to have the control there. But she realized that she's self-employed. She just got another job. She had to save up to take a vacation. Things come up. She couldn't make the time and have the money to do it. So yeah, a lot of good stuff there. So Dr. Anzalone, let's talk about what Debt Free Doctor is doing. I see you're doing a lot of blog posts. I know you've got a lot of tricks to get those blog posts seen and viewed out there. You've done really well on the Google rankings, I've heard. And so let's hear a little bit about what the Debt Free Doctor is up to.
Yeah, and actually the name comes from when I started the blog. I was really focused on following the Dave Ramsey. He's all about being debt free, and so then that's where I got the name from. And I'm still pretty debt averse. As far as consumer debt, credit card debt, the quote bad debt. But now I'm more, the more that I've learned about wealth and seeing how all these other people grow their wealth, there is some debt that's good, based on used to leverage to buy cash flowing assets. But anyway, when I started the blog, I was writing all these articles, but nobody was reading them. Like, why waste my money? Why waste my time, energy, and money on doing stuff and nobody's going to read it? So I took a course online. I think it was like maybe $500, and taught myself how to find topics that I want to write an article on. Like, so for instance, let's say you're reading an article. Let's say it's about, maybe passive income. And then you kind of read about it and you go, hey, that would be cool to write on that topic. Well, this course teaches you how to use different SEO software to take an article or a website, you put it in the software. If you try to write an article on passive income, the likelihood of you ranking on page 1 of Google and being seen is like next to zero, because it's so competitive. But what this software allows you to do, it allows you to look at some of the other things that you could write on pertaining to that. So you almost like you come through the back door, and you can actually rank for passive income or something like that if you write on a topic with a much lower difficulty, like a keyword difficulty. So it may be, instead of the quote focus keyword is passive income, it may be something like more of what they call long tail keywords, something much more longer and specific. So the longer it is, passive income, that's pretty short. But you could do like how doctors earn passive income while still treating patients. If you find something like that, there's not that many articles that are being written for that. So what happens is, on a lot of the articles that I've written, it may be on that, but some of my top articles, I'm ranking for 200, 300, 400 keyword phrases instead of just the one you're trying to do. So you have all these people searching for all these different things, yet it comes to your one article. And think about it, if you do that time and time again, I'm publishing 1 to 2 articles a week, over time, that's 52, or, now I'm doing 2 a week, roughly 100 a year, 102. I've been doing it for 4 years, and it's kind of like a snowball effect. It just starts driving more traffic. And fortunately, that was the skill. It's basically like learning how to walk. If you're going to do all of this stuff that you're talking about, and if you're going to function in life and you don't learn how to walk, it's really hard to function in life, right? So if you learn that this one skill, which 99% of the people won't take the time to do it, but if you do it, I guarantee you'll be very successful, because I've spent $0 on advertising, and I get tons of traffic for free.
Oh, it's amazing stuff. So how are you finding the time to do all this stuff? I know work-life balance is a big, very important to you. I know you're a family guy. You've got 2 kids and a wife, and you're working a lot. So what, how are you finding the time to do all this stuff? You got helpers, or what's going on?
I've got really the only person that I really have helping is a guy that kind of helps me with my YouTube videos, and then he's got somebody to help me edit them. I read the book. I'll grab it over here. That really changed a lot of things too. Who Not How, because we're so focused on. That's what keeps us from doing things. Like, that's what kept me for years starting a YouTube channel, because you ask how question. How am I going to do it? How am I going to have time to do it? How am I going to edit it? How do I make these thumbnails? But instead, just find a who to do it for you, and you can get so much more done.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but kind of think about, once you're going to do something like this, think about what do you want your hours to be? You want to work from 8 to 5, from 7 to 3, from whatever. So I have my hours that I want to. I come in at work at 7, which is an hour before everybody else. We treat patients Monday through Thursday, so I'm here an hour a day before anybody gets here. So that's 4 hours a week. So I get a lot done then. Um, Anytime we do surgeries once a week, well, it takes about 35 minutes in between when we put somebody to sleep and we work on them as they're waking up, and we turn the operating room over. So 35, so I have a system down. Anytime I have any time gaps, I'm working on it. But I have my 7 to 3, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I'm doing all this work in there, and then I'll leave here, go to the gym for an hour or two, then I'm at home by 5, and there's my balance. So that, to me, that's kind of my work, trying to stay healthy, and then family balance. And for me, that's worked pretty well.
That's great. So you're taking advantage of the, you're not working 10 to 12 hours a day on this stuff, but you're just chipping away at it and putting a little bit of time in each day. And over time, it looks like you're doing a lot, which you are. So somebody goes to debtfreedoctor.com. What are they're going to find some educational stuff. Is it strictly education based, or what other ways are you helping folks get involved in real estate?
Well, the way that I approach it is I write articles or I produce videos on topics that I think people should know about in order to become financially free. So, if you want to invest in real estate, well, you should know about cap rates. You should know about inflation. You should know about this or that. So anything that I feel is pertinent, any people that I come across that I think, so for instance, I came across from a friend of mine that I've invested in some self-storage with. He's been telling me about this guy forever. I started looking into some of the interviews and some of the stuff that he does. He's an unbelievable tax strategist. Most of the time we have a CPA that they just basically will do your taxes for you. This is what you made last year. This is what you owe the government. That's it. They file your taxes. This guy is all about, he's very focused. He's focused on people that own businesses, and he teaches you how to exit that business from 3 to 5 years with setting up tax strategies. Some of them pertain to real estate. Some of them were some things that I'd never heard of about what you can do in order to decrease your taxes when you're a passive investor in a syndication. Never heard of some of this stuff. And so I was like, well, he would be a great resource for people that are so anything that I think would be pertinent, I try to get them either on my YouTube channel or write an article or both.
Great. What about, so you mentioned some self-storage. What are your favorite asset classes right now? What do you like to invest in personally?
Well, I like to look at everything as a whole, kind of come out and get the 50,000, foot view. and kind of look at what's going on right now in the country. The inflation's up, prices are high, gas prices are up, food prices are up. Well, okay, well, just start thinking about, well, what does that do? For a lot of people, the poor and middle class, what is that going to do if you go and you look and gas is $5 a gallon? Well, you're going to cut back. You're not going to drive as much. You're not going to take vacations. If food is sky high, you're not going to eat out. You're going to, so you got to think about, what is that doing to the economy? What is that doing? Look at the interest rates. The mortgage interest rates are going up. So people that were excited about buying a home, you read article after article, they can't buy them right now. Because the house prices are going up, interest rates going up. So now, in essence, people are not spending as much, they're not traveling as much, and they're not buying or owning single family homes. They're renting. So a lot of them are having to downsize. So to me, right there, that tells you two asset classes: apartments, they're having to rent, and self-storage. If they're downsizing or if they're having to move, they got to have a place to put it. So that's kind of how I like to look at things. So right now it's still apartment, self-storage, and I'm actually looking into some mobile home parks as well.
Great. So I want to pivot a little bit, and I know you're an extremely humble guy, but I want to hear your secret sauce. What have you done differently than others over the years to get to the point to where you're at today that maybe you could offer some tips to other folks?
As far as investing, or
just investing, professional, anything that comes to mind.
I think within the last few years, what I've done is mainly two things. Number one is the way I approach things. I think about things maybe differently than most people. Perfect example, I play a lot of tennis. I used to play a lot of golf. Well, with both of those sports, what you think you should do, it's really the opposite. You think you should, really muscle the ball, muscle trying to hit it this, whereas you should be relaxed. And it's the total opposite. So really, if you just look at what everybody else is doing or spending their money on or investing in, you just do the opposite. It's kind of funny, but it's really true. The stock market's going down, this and that. What is everybody doing? They're freaking out and they're selling. But what is the small amount of people that are getting wealthy? What are they doing? They're just sitting back, waiting on it to get wherever they want it, and they put their money in. Same thing with real estate. So I think about things differently, and I'm willing to put in the time to outwork people. And again, and I think that's why my blog has been so successful, because literally when I started the blog, the only thing that I knew how to do was turn on a computer, and I could get to Google and I could surf the internet. That's it. And I taught myself, and everything was free online. I taught myself how to start a blog, how to write the articles and all that. Again, how many people are going to be willing to do that while they have a full-time job with family? Nothing against them. That's just what I wanted to do. And perfect example is in the book, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. He talks about the different things. And he said, one of the biggest things in there that sets people apart is you have to have a burning desire. You have to have a why. I have calls all the time with investors, and they're just like, well, yeah, I reached out to you because I want some passive income. I thought it'd be a good idea. The likelihood of that person going through and replacing their income and all that, they're not going to do it. The people that come to me and go, look, I'm burned out. I'm tired of this job. I have to get out in 5 years. When they come and they're ready, so you got to have a burning desire, whatever you're trying to accomplish in life, and that will set you apart.
Got it. What's one thing you wish, now that you know where you are in life, what's one thing you wish you knew when you were getting started out in terms of real estate investing that may be able to help some other folks out?
That's a good question. I would say if you could either find a local mentor or somebody to mentor you, what you're trying to accomplish, other people have done it. So don't try to reinvent the wheel. Go to them with your hat in your hand, be very humble. And, one of my mentors in town here is one of the few billionaires with a B in Louisiana. And the guy spent like 2.5 hours with me at his office. And I got home and I told my wife, I said, I learned more in 2.5 hours than I did in 4 years of college. It just opens your mind to the possibilities out there where you think, oh, this is just impossible. And you're like, you hear this guy's story after story, and it's like, this is crazy. I mean, this is, this happened to him and then this happened and it snowballed. So find and utilize mentors, whether, like I said, whether it's somebody in your hometown, whether it's somebody that you meet online, constantly meet, go to meetings, do meetups, network with people. There's tons of Facebook groups. I can't tell you how important that is. I didn't do any of that or that much at all early on. I'm doing more of it now, but if I would have done it early on, it would have been much, been scaled up much quicker than I have now.
Yeah, the mentorship and the networking, that's continued to play a huge role in, where I'm at personally. And, even surrounding myself with other folks who are further along in the path than I am, it's still hard to, sometimes you get that scarcity mindset, like you were mentioning earlier. And it's so important to be around other folks who are ahead of you and can kind of help you break those limiting beliefs. So Dr. Anzalone, I've got time for one more question. It's the question I ask all of my guests. Just a little refresher. I work at a nuclear power plant that's shutting down in 2025. And my mission is to replace my W-2 income with passive income from real estate. So what advice would you offer to folks who are in my shoes? You're kind of doing the hybrid route right now, but what's some things you would tell us looking to escape the W-2 world?
I think the thing that would keep you focused would be, break it down into little chunks, because, let's say you need 120,000 a year passive income. Well, that could sound pretty daunting, but, break it down into months. I only need 10,000 a month, or I need 2,500 a week, or I need, and then from that way you can really focus on, you and write it down, like I was doing the debt snowball, write it down. Hey, I just got into a syndication and I put $100,000 into it. Let's say you need $100,000 to replace your W-2. Okay. That's what you're looking for in passive income. You say, okay, well, I just put $100,000 investment or $50,000. And let's say just to make numbers easy, I put $100,000 in an investment. It's paying 7%. So it's paying me $7,000 a year. I'm going to mark out that $100,000 that I need, subtract $7,000 from it. And then you'll be able to visualize it, going down. And once you start doing that and visualizing it, it's amazing how much quicker you're going to do it. Kind of like losing weight. You put what you weigh 300 pounds and you want to get down to 240, and you start marking it down, and then that gets the snowball rolling. So I think I'm a visual learner, so having something visual to show you that you're looking at, not like hiding it in your phone. I'm talking about like putting it on a wall, putting it on your computer, putting it on the refrigerator. If you're trying to lose weight and you're about to open up and get that brownie, and you see that weight or whatever, it's like, I think I'm gonna go get the apple instead, or the protein bar. So that, to me, that's probably what I would recommend to you.
Oh, that's great stuff. Dr. Anzalone, where can people find you if they want to learn more about what you're doing?
They can go to debtfreedoctor.com. That I have a passive income guide that I put together. Tells a little bit about my journey, but it's got some specific examples in there, kind of about what you were just talking about, how to replace different ways that you could, specific examples of numbers, real numbers that you could use to replace your income versus what financial advisors tell you. So they can go to the website, debtfreedr.com/free guide to download that.
No, that's great. And I've actually downloaded it myself. It's extremely helpful. So I recommend everybody listening to go check that out. All right, Dr. Anzalone, thank you so much for your time today. Talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for listening to Freedom Investor Radio. If you like what you heard, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks again for listening.